Hi everyone. Um, I decided to move it a little bit sooner because I have other things to do. So I pushed the time up a little bit earlier than I originally planned. But I'm going to go ahead and get started. Um, what I'm going to talk about today is Cornel West's decision to abandon the Green Party. Now, this wasn't a recent thing. This happened back in October, but Jill Stein just did an interview explaining the things that happen in the background. So I'm basically giving Cornel West a side eye because I think that what he did shows a lack of understanding of how the political process works. So before I get started, I'm going to give a quick overview of the role of the president. So, first, the president is the chief executive, the commander in chief, the chief agenda setter, which means he sets the tone. He sets the tone not only for the country, but also for the political party. The president is the representative of the nation, the chief of state, the foreign policy leader, and party leader, right? Emphasis on party leader. Now I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to review this video by Sabby Sabs. Now, y'all should go check out her channel. This woman is phenomenal. I think her channel is going to blow up. She does a lot of great interviews. She explains a lot of things going on with the Palestinian Israel conflict. But let's go ahead and get started.
Welcome to Sabby Sab's podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. My special guest tonight is Dr. Cornel West. He is a presidential candidate for 2024, and he's now running as an independent. Welcome back, Dr. West.
Okay, so he was originally running as a Green Party candidate, but he dropped out and now he's running as an independent.
Always a blessing to be in conversation with you. And of course, Anahita says hello as well. It was wonderful to get a chance to see you, meet you, and give you a hug and things.
Yeah, DC, the DC event was really great, so shout out to Code Pink for putting that all together. I thought the panel was awesome. So that was my first time meeting a lot of people, actually.
Yeah, no, it was beautiful. It was a cacophony of voices and quite powerful.
Again, the woman who's doing the interview, her channel is Sabby Sabs. I put it in the tab so y'all can go check out her channel. Her channel is absolutely amazing.
Quite powerful. Yeah.
All right, so Dr. West, so we all heard the recent news that you have decided to leave the Green Party and to run as an independent candidate. And I think a lot of people, want to hear, like, why did you decide to make that decision? So Dr. Jill Stein was on the show last night. She gave her perspective about this decision, and she feels that this is the best decision for you and the way that you want to go. But we want to hear from you, like, why did you decide to pursue an independent run instead of remaining with the Green Party?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a challenge because, this terrain is such a treacherous one. I'll forever be grateful to Sister Jill Stein and Brother Ajumu Baraka for being so open in making the transition, because the transition was very important. There's no doubt about it. We had a lot of different kind of challenges. You remember Sister Jill was interim campaign manager. And then even, now she was campaign manager. No, you've always been an interim, but she and Jama made a very important contribution. But as things went.
So he's basically throwing shade at Jill Stein because Jill Stein said that she didn't want to act as a campaign manager, but she was acting as a campaign manager anyway because there was no one there to fulfill that role. So he's throwing shade at her, saying that she was interim. It doesn't matter. She didn't want to be the campaign manager in the first place.
Went on, it was clear that, you got a lot of internal dynamics in the Green Party. You got 4 debates among the Green Party presidential candidates. You have to go to a variety of different events in different states to do that, in addition to the web seminars. And then you have to try to somehow connect what you're doing in the campaign with the Green Party. And it just became just too cumbersome. It became an encumbrance in that regard.
I mean, he's starting out on the wrong foot because he should have researched the Green Party in the first place. I don't understand why he ran as a Green Party candidate, why he took up that spot, and then he dropped out at the last minute. Did he not know anything about how politics work?
And I only got limited time, limited energy, and limited resources, and I got to go straight to the people. And I'm telling folks, it's almost like being a jazz musician playing only in a party band, and you feel as if you're continually attending to things tied to the party, and you don't have enough time to get to your mass base. And the thing about the Green Party, of course, is it is, you know, one of those long-lasting institutions since 1991, but it doesn't have a mass base. It doesn't have, and
Here's the thing, he was trying to run as a Green Party candidate, so he's not it's not a one-sided deal where they're expecting him to do all this stuff and they're not giving him anything in return. They're going to give him a whole bunch of money for his campaign. They're going to give him volunteers. They're going to help him manage his website. They're going to give him a campaign manager. They're going to do all of that. In exchange, they want something in return. They want him to, I mean, it's not like you have to follow the party line totally, but you have to give them something. I mean, this is why I started out by explaining to y'all the role of the president. The president, I mean, he wouldn't be the actual president until he was actually elected, but as the presidential candidate, he is on top of the ticket. So, as the person on top of the ticket, he sets the tone as the actual candidate. He sets the tone for the entire party. He is the party leader. They don't tell him what to do, he tells them what to do. But he clearly did not have any leadership skills, which is why he dropped out.
it doesn't have the base that I speak to, which is the black base and the brown base and the trade union base. It's strong on green, and it's strong in many ways. I mean, on ecological issues, and it's strong in its critiques of militarism and anti-imperialism. There's no doubt about that. But where I go and what I focus on is something I can do now much better as an independent. And that makes a world of difference. It frees me up. I don't have to go through all the procedures and all of the processes of the Green Party. I went in with a sense of humility. I said, look, I'm not assuming I'm going to secure the nomination, but I got to hit the ground. So let's say if I go to Mississippi, and in Mississippi, you know, it's chocolate, Jackson and Lexington and the Delta.
But they already gave him the nomination. He already had it. He just didn't know what to do with it. And he could have been more effective with the Green Party behind them because they already had their own staff and their own money. I don't know how he thinks that he can do it alone as an independent when he may not even be on the ballot.
And so forth. And black folk ain't heard of Greens in Mississippi, but they coming out like I don't know what. You see what I mean? And I'm there with the Mississippi Freedom Party, which is a legacy of.
No, black people haven't heard of the Green Party, but they have heard of Cornel West. So this is the reason that they wanted him as a candidate, because they thought that he would bring more voters to the Green Party based on his name recognition. So it was a give and take, but he didn't want to give anything. He just wanted to reap all the benefits of being on a ticket and not having to put any work into it.
Fannie Lou Hamer, and of course with Emmett Till's family, and then the family of Jenkins and Parkins, those brothers who had to deal with that vicious police attack. They never heard of the Green Party at all. Why? Because the Green Party is not rooted in those communities. But they know me very, very well because I've been there.
Again, he's supposed to be the party leader. So if the Green Party isn't rooted in the black community, then as the leader, he was supposed to make the Green Party have roots in the black community.
And we have an organic connection. And so in that sense, it really was a freeing up of me, even though, as I said before, that the Green Party, especially those two, made an important contribution in terms of the transition. But we were just trying to get off the ground. And I thank God that Brother Peter came along. Now, Sister Jill recommended Peter, you know that.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that as well, because, you know, he's doing a magnificent job. That brother, he is an organizational leader He's got a certain kind of genius of bringing people together and accenting the best, and still living with some of these, vicious attacks that's still coming at him. But he's just pushing those back because we know that I'm running things. We know Anna, he just helping run things. And that me and Brother Peter, we work as campaign manager and as candidate. And he brings the pros and cons. I can tell you the pros. He brought the pros and cons. Here's the arguments this way. Here's the arguments this way. Brother West, what do you think? Sister Anahita, what do you think? Well, that's how Peter rolls. He really is he's a joy to work with, and I just hate to see him kind of going through a lot of these vicious attacks. But the proof is in the pudding. People say, "Oh, he's moving to the right. West must be moving to the center." Did it sound like I'm moving to the right in the speech that you heard the other night? It's the same.
So Dr. West, when you say the Green Party isn't rooted in some of those communities like in Mississippi, are you referring to particularly the Green Party not being rooted in Black communities?
Black, brown, working class. I'm spending a lot of time with indigenous brothers and sisters who ain't never heard of Green. So that means, all I'm saying is.
But that speaks more to the voters than the party, because most voters are ignorant. I mean, they don't research political parties. Most Black people vote for the Democratic Party. That's the reason why they wanted Cornel West, so that they could bring more Black voters to the Green Party. And this was a missed opportunity.
Is that we don't have a mass left-based party. This is not a critique of the Green. It's just a description of what it is. That the American left has always been weak for the most part. We don't have a mass-based left party. So if you're actually trying to make a strong connection to the masses, it's best to go straight to them. You don't have to be mediated with a Green Party. You don't have to be going through all of their procedures and all of their debates and so forth, when you can be spending time with the people themselves.
What he doesn't understand is that he can't fight the fight alone. So his role as the party leader is ballot access, right? Because he's running, he would have the Green Party on the ballot in most states, 50 states, if would be ideal, but he dropped out. So it's not just about him. If he would have stayed on the ballot, then that would have given so many other Black political candidates access to the ballot.
Trying to zero in on their suffering, zeroing in on their struggle, trying to get them to see.
They are infants when it comes to political conversations, and he's not savvy when it comes to politics, which is why his campaign is not going to have any success. And I'm trying to change the direction of my channel because I want to do more political commentary. So I'm probably going to be losing my audience. And I know this stuff isn't interesting to a lot of people, but there is a market for this. So I'm tired of doing the low level gender war stuff. I'm going to be doing more political commentary because that's what I'm more interested in.
Anti-imperial policies that we talked about with Sister Medea and Cole Pink the other night. The anti-war movement, that's very important. The critiques of corporate greed, on and on and on. And believe me, I don't have to worry at all having any kind of debate with somebody who don't want to hit white supremacy head on. I ain't got time for that.
It doesn't matter. If he's not going to be on the ballot, then anything he has to say is completely irrelevant.
I already know what my vision and analysis is. I'm still learning and listening, but I'm now a freer person. And that's just true to my own calling. I mean, I read the statement of Brother John and Sister Jill that was very kind in terms of them, saying things about the campaign regarding the possibilities of its future. And I think the strongest argument that I heard was from Brother Ajamo saying, well, the worst thing that can happen is it could become just an individualistic project. And he's absolutely right about that. That this campaign will still be a moment in the movement. It will be a people-centered campaign.
So the person who he's talking about was Jill Stein's running mate in 2016. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, Ajamo. He was a Black guy. So Jill Stein was the president for 2016 on the Green Party ticket, and Ajama was the vice presidential candidate.
Will not be a Green Party campaign. You can be people-centered without the Green Party. And in some ways, you can be people-centered and freer without the Green Party.
But you're not even going to be on a ballot without a political party backing you. So I don't understand what he's saying. He's trying to make he's trying to make it all about him because he doesn't understand the way politics work. In order to have any kind of impact, you're going to need to be on a ballot, and you're also going to need to raise money. The Green Party was willing to help him do that, but he turned it down because he didn't want to put the work into it. He didn't want to lead the party. He just wanted to run as an individual, which is why he is now running as an independent.
So I think the reason why a lot of people were excited when you left the People's Party and went to the Greens is because of the ballot access, right? And because the Greens have this experience. So for example, I want to pull up this comment here from Justin, who has organized in reference to getting signatures to get Greens on the ballot. And he said, it's going to cost the West campaign 1.5 to 2 million to get to the 300K.
This is something that people don't realize. It is extremely difficult to get on the ballot. This is the reason why people run as Green Party candidates. In the first place, you don't necessarily have to agree with everything that the Green Party says, or you don't have to agree with their entire platform, but they're offering you a spot on the ballot. I ran as a Green Party candidate, and I didn't agree with everything that they said. There were people who voted for me who had never voted for the Green Party in their lives. So, gosh, it's like he's missing the bigger picture.
To 400K signatures to get on the ballot in California alone. It would cost $0 for California as a Green Party candidate. This is an epic mistake. With the Green Party, Cornel could have been on 50 states for $2 million. I think for a lot of us,
You hear what they said? He could have been on the ballot in 50 states. Instead, he's going to run as an independent where he may only be on a handful of states, or he may only be a write-in candidate. So what kind of impact is he going to have?
not so much about we're Green members, because like I'm not a member of the Green Party. I'm a registered independent. Right. It's not, for a lot of us we're not Green Party members, but it was that ballot access. And I think where a lot of people are concerned is that now as an independent, it's kind of like you're starting all over, and you're going to have to raise, like the example that Justin gave with California, the amount of money that you're going to have to raise just to get on the ballot in California. That's why people are concerned. So is there a strategy in reference to getting that back?
But he's going to have to do that in every single state. He's going to have to raise money to get on the ballot in all 50 states. And he's doing it alone. And he doesn't have the money that he would have had if he would have ran as a Green Party candidate.
Ballot access and the fundraising that'll go along with that.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, there's no doubt that the 18 states that the brothers and sisters and siblings in the Green Party have access to, and we need 32 states in order to be on all 50. That is a tremendous uphill battle, no matter what. Now
it's an uphill battle, especially when you're doing it alone. Now, in 2016, when Jill Stein ran, the Green Party was on the ballot in all 50 states. So they have a proven track record of being able to get on the ballot. How is he going to do this without the Green Party's help?
Start with zero. And we're independent. But keep in mind, in many states, the independents need much fewer signatures than third-party candidates. And that's to across the board among a whole slew of states. Now, California, New York is indeed a challenge. New York's always a challenge. 42 days, you can so forth. So and California, if what this person says is not right, you'd have to talk to Brother Peter and Sister Rose and the others who are zeroing in on this thing to see whether it's 2 million. It's unclear. It depends on how.
See, so he doesn't actually understand the ins and outs of campaigning, right? He just has these ideas. He wants to go speak to small towns, barbershops. He doesn't understand how this works. I mean, I mean, he should have some idea of that if he's going to make a decision to drop the Green Party. That's what they were there for. They had this expertise, and he lost out on a golden opportunity.
How strong your ground troops are, how many volunteers you have, and how many signatures you're able to accrue. So I'm not really sure that I would readily accept that formulation about 2 million, or to accept that we would have had 50 no matter what. We're shooting really for about 35 or 40. I think Sister Jill probably had about 44 when she ran. And they're not due until next year. We're starting very early. Starting very, very early. I talked with Brother Ralph.
Right. He's talking about starting early, but he dropped out late in the game, basically throwing the Green Party under the bus. And then Jill Stein, who didn't even want to run, had to basically assume that candidacy because there was a vacancy there that he left.
Nader, and he was very excited about what I'm doing. He had argued I should have been with the independents from the very beginning because he had his own challenges with the Green. We won't get into all of those tensions and challenges, and he's been the towering figure even more than Jill in terms of visibility as a figure tied to the Green campaigns, but never a Green himself. And he was saying how that when he ran as independent, he was able to get over 40-some states.
Ralph Nader had a lot more money than Jill Stein and Cornel West. So you're not in the same position as Ralph Nader.
So that we are going to be in place. I think we're going to be in a good 35 or 40 no matter what. I really do. Very much so.
But
he's very naive if he thinks that's going to happen. He doesn't even have any volunteers. He doesn't have any money. How is this going to happen?
Is the strategy, for example, in reference to getting the ballot access, is the strategy to focus on those? I think there's about 30 states that the Green Party does not have access. Is the strategy to focus primarily on those states where the Green Party does not have access first?
Oh, no. I mean, at this point, we're focusing on what we want to focus on. It's not a matter of what the Greens have or don't have. That we're
basically, he has no campaign strategy.
Hitting those crucial states that are pivotal states, and we're hitting those states where we have a very good chance of being able to get on readily, and then we raise the big money. Now, the point that was made in the Twitter there about money, it is true that you got to raise big money, not big money, but significant amounts of money. And in many ways, it's easier to raise that money as an independent than it is Green. The Green has a certain...
That is incorrect. Jill Stein was just on her channel explaining why it would have been easier to raise money as a Green Party candidate, because she actually hired someone who was an experienced fundraiser for political campaigns who already had donors. So he doesn't have any donors. He has no connections. He's an outsider. I don't know how he's going to raise any money.
Stereotype that can make it even more difficult in certain instances. I'm just being very honest with you in this regard, and I don't have to worry about that anymore. So in that regard, I think we're going to surprise a lot of people. That the message, the analysis is going to be strong, as radical, subversive as ever. That the availability and accessibility of myself to the people with direct encounter is going to be much more intense. And as you know, I've been blessed so far with tremendous media attention, including the Savvy Show. But I appreciate that, Brother Tim Black. I appreciate that, and the others. You all make a difference.
So I know you mentioned Ralph Nader. I guess Ralph Nader is in support of independent and third party runs again now, because there was a recent article with an interview of Ralph Nader on the Washington Post, where Ralph Nader, the interview said that Ralph Nader said he would do what he can to help Joe Biden win. So I guess Ralph Nader is not going in that direction now, or?
That's a wonderful question. When I talked to Brother Ralph, he was talking about his marvelous sister too, Claire. but he was talking about how he makes a distinction between fascism and autocracy. And even though he believes that autocracy might be better, it is still terrible. And that doesn't mean he votes for autocratic candidates just because he makes a distinction. That's what he told me. So, I mean, I didn't go into detail. He's just my brother. I have tremendous love and respect for that brother. And he gives me great insights in terms of what it is to run as an independent, because he's somebody that I learned much from, like others. But that was what he told me. Who knows? You know, who knows? I mean, you know his critique of corporate power that's about 70 years old and counting, his critique of empire, his defense of the Palestinians and so forth, that he's got a long record.
Okay, because some of the people that watch the show, they were excited when they heard the news you were going independent because they don't like political parties at all. Like some of the people that watch the show, they're, party abolitionists. They say abolish all political parties. People should just run independent. And then there were other people that felt that this move to an independent run means that you would no longer be considered a threat to the duopoly. And one of those people is Ryan Grimm. So Ryan Grimm tweeted this. He said, Cornel West, after leaving the People's Party, is now leaving the Green Party, pledging to run as an independent. Probably good news for Democrats, as he's unlikely to be on the ballot in some states. So people like Ryan Grimm actually look at this as though this is actually going to help the Democratic Party, not hurt the Democratic Party.
No, that's the challenge to the Ryans of the world. Well, I appreciate his candor. So much hangs on what some states is. If I'm talking about 35, 40 states, that's some states. That's not all of them. But that's enough states to constitute a threat, both at the level of ballot, but also at the level of the bombardment every day of pointing out the rot in the Democratic Party.
No, he's not going to be a threat because it's not just about him. The threat would be for not only him to be on the ballot, but for other candidates to also be on the ballot, right? If you want to destroy the two-party system, then you need other candidates running in state and local races, which he can't do running as an independent. So he cannot be effective as an independent. He's not a threat to the system.
Party, pointing out the rotten Republican Party, the rotten corporate duopoly, the rotten two-party system. They don't want to go ranked choice voting. They don't want proportionality and representation. No, they're really not interested in democracy at that serious level. And then so much of what I talk about is making the connection, as you know, between foreign policy and domestic policy. See, the militarism and the imperialism abroad, more and more is moving to the center. And there's nobody else speaking with power and insight on that issue. Our dear brother RFK Jr., don't hold your breath on my brother. Yeah, no. Palestinians, he gonna leave them dangling. I will never sell out my Palestinian brothers and sisters if I'm the last person running for president or talking on the corner. And the same is true for any oppressed group, wherever they are, you see. And so part of the challenge is the Democrats are afraid that more black folks, especially black brothers, will no longer be seduced by them. Trade unions, especially the militant wing and the progressive wing of the trade union movement, the ecological movement, and young people of all colors, genders, sexual orientation. And the young folk, if they really decide to follow through in the voting procedure, it's going to be a very, very different situation. And I do not believe at all that it's going to be Trump and Biden.
Okay, but even if he does get on a ballot in a few states, where is the continuity? What happens after this election? How is him running as an independent going to be a threat to the system? Because you're still not really taking votes away from the two-party system.
Biden's going to run out of gas. And the pressure of the Hunter Biden case is going to be immense. And Trump is going to be either on his way to jail or also overcome with dealing with those 91 felonies and dealing with those 4 indictments, that both of those rotten parties are going to have to generate somebody else. And who are they going to generate? That their B team.
He's never run a campaign before, so he doesn't understand how it works. He should have listened to his advisors, but he willy-nilly decided to drop out as a Green Party candidate because he didn't want to put the work in, and now he's going to have to do it alone. He's going to have to speak to small towns and, whatever nickel and dimes that he gets from these poor people. It's not going to be sufficient for him to run his campaign. So I think he's going to be dropping out. I don't think he's going to make it to the general election.
Is Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and the beneath mediocrity. Well, who else can they produce? Well, our candidacy, constant. Our candidacy, intense. Our candidacy, speaking the same truth, seeking the same.
How is his campaign constant? He already dropped out from the People's Party, and then he dropped out from the Green Party, and now he's starting all over again as an independent. So, no, his campaign has not been constant. It hasn't been consistent. He's starting all over from scratch this very late in the game, and he has no money.
Justice, and the only possibility of me not running is if Martin Luther King Jr. comes back from the dead and somehow becomes a candidate for the Democratic Party, then I'm going to sit down and start just singing a song.
You see how she's smiling? She knows he's full of shit. She's trying to be respectful, but she's not buying it.
But that ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen because that's the legacy that comes through me. If Fannie Lou Hamer come back and run, I'll pull back. That's the legacy that comes through me. Given that's not a possibility, they're going to have to deal with not just the ballot access that will be moving on in a significant way, but the fire, the insight, the determination, and it's not just individual. I'm just one small little wave in a great ocean of a great people. And all of those voices from the past going to be filtered through me until November.
So, Dr. West, on the real, because people, I got to tell you, people were very deflated, when they heard the news. About half the audience was deflated. Half of them were like, well, this is better than being attached to a political party. On the real, the reality is that in my adult life, Green Party presidential candidates go all the way to the end, right? So Jill Stein didn't drop out. Ralph Nader didn't drop out. And then, of course, Howie Hawkins didn't drop out. The fear from some is that now that you are running as an independent, now this gives you that leeway to drop out. So I have to ask, are you going to drop out or are you going to continue to go to the end?
No, I think I've said in unequivocal terms, Brother Peter has said in unequivocal terms, that if I am breathing, I will be on the ballot in November. Now, if I drop dead, my name might be on there, but I won't be breathing or breakdancing or fighting or swinging or bearing witness. But I'm not dropping out at all. I don't know why people are so preoccupied with something. Well, I guess they're preoccupied because they've been betrayed so many times, and the distrust is very, very real. But no, I can tell folk up front, no way. We're going down swinging, and the swing is all the way through, not just November. We're going to be swinging Christmas, even after the election.
Okay, because what you say on this show, I'll tell you, the audience on this show, what people say when they come on to the show, the audience will hold you to what you say.
That's good.
So I'm just giving you a heads up.
I appreciate it. Definitely. But keep in mind, it's not just your audience. See, I don't say and do anything for audience. I'm not that kind of brother at all. That I got a calling. Well, and I have service to authority beyond just audiences, and I got to be true to myself. You see what I mean?
Well, one thing that people did point out, which was a positive, the platform now, a lot of people pointed to the fact that this platform looks very good, very fleshed out. I don't know if this was you and Peter together or Peter put this together, but the first thing, economic justice. And one of the things that stood out to me, and I got to say this, Dr. West, because I told Roger Meadows, I said, is Dr. West been listening to Roger Meadows super chats? Because this one here about establish federal public banking institutions. Roger Meadows really big on public banking. So I was like, Dr. West been listening to us.
He could have done the same thing as a Green Party candidate. I mean, I don't see anything that he's doing as an independent that he couldn't have done within the Green Party.
I thought that was a really good one. I thought this year, national $27 minimum wage with special considerations for specific geographies where $27 an hour would not be a family sustaining wage. The fact that you did point out the fact in some states, $27 an hour may go far, and in some states it may not go
Where
far.
I am right now on 110th Street and Columbus Avenue in Harlem, that's part of the regional specificity that we were working with. But I do want to acknowledge my dear brother Anthony Rogers, who's very close to Baraka, that he's been marvelous. And he and Peter and Anahita have been working this through in a marvelous way. And I just want to just shout that out in terms of this. And I must, when Ralph Nader looked at this, he said, this is not just the most progressive thing that I've ever seen in presidential politics, but I had my researchers find some some defaults and defects, and I couldn't find it. I said, but all these platforms have faults. He said, I couldn't find it, Brother West. I said, well, I appreciate that.
The worker justice I thought was really good, especially this one right here. Establish a worker bill of rights that includes the end of right to work states. I'm in one of those states, by the way. They can fire you for no reason. They can fire you for no reason. Oh, go ahead.
No.
I think he means employment at will. Yeah. I mean, there are no faults in his campaign. That's a fault right there. It's called employment at will. Right to work means something completely different.
No, you go right ahead. You go right.
Environmental justice, of course, we knew this one, nationalize the fossil fuel industry, moving beyond the Green New Deal. I think that's taking it a step further than where we were 2 years ago, and just like saying,
okay, so I don't want to leave y'all hanging. The reason there's a distinction because the right to work basically means that you can work without joining a union. He's talking about employment at will, but he just called it something. A lot of people get that confused.
Oh, we need a Green New Deal. The other one here, health justice. This was a big one for a lot of people. Go beyond Medicare for all. Go beyond it again. So this is further to the left than what we had with the Bernie's campaigns. I thought that was important. This one, which I think a lot of people missed, and I'm just going to say pandemic because YouTube likes to trip over when we talk about this, but establish a pandemic commission to deliver justice for populations disproportionately impacted by the pandemic. I thought that was a big one. Of course, racial justice. Now, this one right here, I know you're a favor reparations. One thing I will say here, reparations commission for.
By the way, the Green Party also supports reparations.
Our national program to address the unpaid debt to Black U.S. residents. One thing I would add is, in reference to commission, we already have reparation committees. So I think to go a step further and say cash reparations, for those people, what the dollar amount should be, how should it be implemented? Because, like, for example, Marianne Williams has said, give that money to Black organizations. And there was a lot of pushback on that. People are like, no, give it directly to the hands of African-American people, because with the Japanese Americans that were in the internment camps, that money went directly into their hands. So,
by the way, I'm going to be doing content about reparations. I have an article that I need to review. So that's going to be coming shortly.
So that's something I will say about that. Like when you say reparations,
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And the last thing you want to do is give it to any organizations that have corrupt leadership, and it never gets into the hands of the everyday people.
That's right. Transformative justice. This is a huge one. Protect free speech, enforce whistleblower protections, and stop the prosecution of those who expose government corruption. So I think about someone like Edward Snowden, right?
That's right. And I've talked about pardoning Julian Assange, and as well as Mumia Abu-Jamal and Leonard Peltier and others. But this sense of ensuring that the censorship doesn't get in the way, people are free to express, petition, assemble. This is very important. Very important.
Education justice, I think, is also, that's a big one for me. But minimum wage of $80,000 for all U.S. public school teachers K through 12. Dr. West, I come from education. Teachers are very underpaid in this country. And having lived overseas, like teachers in Germany, teachers in like countries like Korea, they make way more than teachers in this country make. So that was a big one for me. And then there's LGBTQIA justice. I thought this was really big in the unwarranted, unnecessary, and dangerous assaults on transgender people. I thought that was important. Gun violence justice in the gun violence epidemic, and immigration justice, which is a big issue right now in reference to the border. Massive investment in transforming immigration policies to create a broad legal pathway for residency that centers compassion, morality, dignity, and ethics. The immigration issue in this country, and I have several friends that went through that process, it takes way too long. Way too long. Some people, it took them 10 years to become a U.S. citizen. And of course, a big one, global justice, dismantle the U.S. empire, disband NATO. That is still a really big one for me, because I think that that's something that needs to happen. But a lot of us said
it's crucial.
Good.
And you can imagine, I mean, NATO's and the U.S. backed NATO's leading us toward World War III with the possible nuclear exchange. It couldn't get more fundamental. Everything is at stake in that regard. But it also includes hands off Haiti, and it includes the AFRICOM on the continent. It includes.
I mean, he can have all the ideas he wants. If he's not on the ballot, then none of this is going to matter.
The militarization, not just abroad, but the ways in which it's connected to Cop City and what have you. I mean, all of those issues are crucial ones. And I just want to thank you for putting that out there, because there's a sense in which the platform was the lead that gets buried in the story, because everybody concerned about, well, what were the internal struggles of the Green Party and Brother West? I said, oh, Lord, have mercy. No, let's keep the focus on the people and the struggles and the visions and the ways in which through solidarity.
Now, let's keep it real. Do you think anybody's going to read through all of that? No, they're not. I mean, his campaign is not that organized, and he doesn't even have a video out like Jill Stein does. I don't think that his message is going to reach his target audience. So I don't know. It's still early. He still has time to work on his campaign, but I think he screwed up by dropping out so late in the game.
We can actually empower everyday people. And it sounds simple, but it is crucial. It's fundamental, because all we need is distractions. And distractions on distractions.
Two recommendations I would make: ranked choice voting, which is that's a big one. Ranked choice voting, establish that, especially for independent and third party candidates. That's something that is a big one with people. And then the other one is public financing of elections. And I say that because we have to change the system. As long as like the corporate money is coming into these campaigns, we're never going to break free of the MIC and Wall Street's hold on these parties. And it's a big problem.
No, that's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. I had a feeling that we had that on there, though. That's not on there, you think?
I'll double check.
I had a feeling that I know we talked about it among our group with Brother Peter and Anahita and Brother Anthony, which, as I said before, has been quite wonderful on this stuff.
But that's one thing about him. He calls everyone brother, everyone sister. It's kind of annoying. It's kind of overkill. But people have called him out on it. He called Jill Stein his brother. He called Sean Hannity his brother. It's like, give it a rest.
Lee Camp did a poll, and I think you might be interested in seeing this.
Brother Lee, what did he say?
Yeah, on Twitter, he said Cornel West and RFK Jr. are both announcing they're running as independents. If you aren't voting for the corporate duopoly, who would you vote for? And so far, you're in the lead. 44.6% said they would vote for you. RFK is second. Claudia's third, and other is 7.5%.
Wow, wow. Yeah, I hadn't seen that. I appreciate you sharing that with me. We're going to see what Brother RFK Jr. has to say on Monday. It's hard to know whether it's libertarian, independent, or he might the last minute pull back. We just don't know. But I just pray for his safety. You know, I want him to make sure that he, Biden ought to provide some serious Secret Service support for him. I think it's a shame. It's disgusting that he even has to ask for it, let alone plead and beg for it, because he's a very decent brother, even though I've got some deep disagreements with him. And we got not just ideologically, but also in terms of the kind of priorities that he would have, free market capitalism and Trump tax cuts.
So he's against free market capitalism, and that is the main thing that keeps Black people out of corporate America, because these barriers to entry, these occupational licenses, all of this red tape prevents Black people from starting their own businesses. So he's very naive about that. These governmental regulations actually hurt Black people.
And wait, come on, my brother, come on, we got some challenges here, though. But that's another issue. But that is it, and it was nice to meet Claudia. I never met Sister Claudia before. You know, she's comes out of Union Seminary just like myself, and she had some wonderful things to say. She really did. I'd never met her before, so it was nice that Anahita and myself got a chance to meet her and say hello, give her a hug and things. Because in the end, it's still about solidarity. That was the point I was trying to make in D.C. We got to get beyond just the petty differences and so forth. So if you're fundamentally committed to poor and working people, then you might have a lot of different differences here or there, but you're going to be against the greed. You're going to be against the capitalist subjugation. You're going to be against the corporate greed. You're going to be against the racism and sexism and transphobia and homophobia and anti-Jewish and anti-Palestinian and anti-Arab, with all of that. Tilted in that direction, that's where we need to go. And I'm just making the case that when it comes to presidential politics, I think I got the strongest case to make.
Well, Dr. West, last night, Jill Stein mentioned that she may possibly run for president as well through the Green Party. I'm curious to get your take on that.
So this video was done in October. Jill Stein is now the Green Party candidate. She didn't want to run, but because she dropped out, there was a vacancy, and she decided to run in order to keep the Green Party on the ballot. Again, this isn't just about her. This isn't just about Cornel West. This is about all of the other candidates who are also going to be or have ballot access in 50 different states.
Well, then she and I would have these wonderful clashes. We'll have wonderful clashes. Absolutely. Indeed. I mean, it's hard to conceive of how she would on 1 minute support me and be so fired up for my campaign and then say, well, I have to run in order to preserve the institutional autonomy of the party.
Because it's not about you. It's about ballot access. He doesn't understand that.
Wow, that weakens the left. Does that mean your allegiance to the party is deeper than the allegiance to the people's movement? Well, those are questions they'd have to come to terms with. Those are questions.
So they gave him the nomination, right? And then he's the one who dropped out. And now he's trying to throw shade at Jill Stein because she decided to pick up the slack that he left in order to keep the Green Party on the ballot. So now he's trying to say, oh, well, you know, you're running against. No, you're the one who dropped out. She's supposed to keep the Green Party on the ballot.
That they'd have to wrestle with, because they would say, well, we don't want just a campaign without the party benefiting. You say, well, the party's been around for 32 years. Where is it now? If they had 32 years and benefited, they ought to be much broader, much deeper. They ought to have.
No, a lot of people say that Green Party affected the 2016 election, and a lot of the ideas that the Democrats are following came from the Green Party, even the Green New Deal. So they say that the Green Party is the spoiler. So the Green Party actually is making an impact, and they can make more of an impact than you as an independent.
Tremendous roots, but they don't. So they have to be very honest and Socratic and self-critical about the party in that regard. And that's
The Green Party doesn't have roots in the black community, but you do, and that is what you were supposed to be bringing to the Green Party. In exchange, they were offering you money and campaign support. That's how it works.
that's a painful thing, but it's something that has to be done. Why? Because in the end, it ain't about the party. It ain't about individuals at all. It's about
That's rich because he's making it about him as an individual instead of a party. That's what this is all about. There is no continuity when you're running as an independent. After this race is over and Cornel West is no longer running for president, then where does this movement go?
how do we become the most effective vehicles to empower the people. And most of the people ain't heard about the Green Party. Most of the people ain't heard about Cornel West. Most of the people ain't heard about Jill Stein. You know what I mean? You got to be honest about that. As you would say, to keep it real.
So it's already an uphill battle. They haven't heard of the Green Party. Some people haven't heard of Cornel West. But when you put the two together, then you get more voters.
We got to be honest about that. So what do? Well, we have to open ourselves and try to be able to come together to make the largest collective impact and then continue to build. So it's
How are you going to make a collective impact where you're not even on a ballot and you're not able to raise money?
got to be tied to a moment in a movement. Absolutely. Got to be people-centered. Well, John was right about that. But whether it has to go through the Green Party, wait a minute. Please. No way. No way. Mm-mm.
Well, Dr. West, I know you have a limited amount of time, but thank you so much. I appreciate you, making the time to come on, because when people heard this, some people did feel like they were like, what's happening? Like Dr. West was with the People's Party, then he goes to the Greens. Now he's leaving the Green Party.
And that's understandable. That's understandable. It really is. It's understandable. Very much. And I'm in the process, trying to, it's tried and true. How do you get tried and true? And that's part of the jazz sensibility, where you're not just improvisational, but you try something. If you don't get locked into it, if you think it's not working, and you got to make sure that you can sing your song and do your dance and put your words and your body out there for the people, to make sure that their needs that are sacred are at the center. And that's what these 3 months have been very, very bumpy. Ain't no doubt about that. But the beautiful thing is, we gonna go down swinging, not just in November. We gonna go down swinging till the worms get our bodies.
All right, y'all. I think Cornel West is full of crap. I don't think his campaign is going to make it to the general election. I think he's going to drop out way before November. He's not going to have any money. He's not going to have any supporters. So we're going to check back, but I'm going to be doing more political commentary. So if y'all have any ideas on things y'all want me to talk about, I'm going to be more focused on this channel, because you guys have been loyal supporters, and this channel is actually monetized. So thank y'all for your support. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.